Thank you so much for having me and letting me sharing this story about our journey to being a more innovative organization. I'm going to start you off with some background because we do actually innovate, but we have more or less innovation hubs at Arbetsförmedlingen. We have job tech, this super disruptive department for the Swedish labor market. We have an AI center, and of course we have innovation center working within the third horizon of innovation. But we haven't been able to actually apply an innovative culture throughout the whole organization. So during the fall of 2019, we started a couple of co-workers to think about how do we actually get stuff done, get people going on, starting learning about innovation. Because we didn't have an innovation strategy, we didn't have principles of innovation. So we knew that if we wanted things to happen, we had to make people start doing stuff. But this, of course, is not a natural way to go for a government office. I mean, innovation isn't prioritized. And actually, when you talk about innovation in many government offices, you get some skepticism around why we should work with innovation and if it's something that's within our mission to do. So we knew that the first step we had to take was to convince the upper management. And we do have one really brave director at Arbetsförmedlingen who said, yes, I'd like you to try this out to one certain area of operations. And we were so happy we were able to try out an innovation day. So we got stuff planned. We planned a road show. It was 2,000 people in this area of operations, and they were located in different offices throughout Sweden. So we planned a road show with around 10, 15 offices that we would visit and make a half day of innovation. And our goal was to inspire, to get people to learn more about what innovation is, and letting them trying on some innovation tools to challenge themselves to start new ideas in the office. We wanted them to be more creative and innovative in their everyday work life. So we built cross-functional teams. So we had different perspectives in all sessions. We had real-life cases that were actually really, really important to Arbetsförmedlingen. So it was real-time, real interesting issues, and we put different teams together. And of course, we made it like we would have a winner of this. And we started off in Malmö in the beginning of February. It was really, really great. It was received really great. We got great feedback, and we were so happy. And people had this before, during, and after experience of this day because we had prepped them with a lot of things beforehand. And we had some goodie bags with interesting digital ways of learning more about innovation. And then COVID-19 hit. And we weren't allowed to travel. And we weren't allowed to gather people in groups. So, you know, we had to stop everything and rethink our whole plan. And as well as other companies in Sweden, we were not prepared for this. Our processes aren't designed for these kind of circumstances, and they are still not 1 year later. But we did not give up. We paused innovation this because we had to have all hands on deck to prepare the Arbetsförmedlingen to receive all these new customers that we have. You know, you can't get unemployed benefits if you're not enrolled in Arbetsförmedlingen. So it's all hands on deck on the bigger challenge. But during this time, we tried to think about new dream scenarios of how to make digital innovation days. And you know, I have a lot of respect for IT departments and legal departments all over government offices, because this situation is really hard and new for them as well. But while the private sector quite rapidly adapted to this new form of working, I mean, you get to use cool tools like Zoom, Miro, Mural, Concept Board, and there are 1,000 of different tools that you can use. We were stuck with Skype. And we were not only stuck with Skype, we were stuck with Skype without the video function, because we didn't have enough bandwidth. And of course, we have to prioritize our customers. So during a time at Arbetsförmedlingen, we actually had all our online meetings on Skype with only voice. Interesting, super interesting. So we were thinking, okay, how do we do this? And how do we build this dream scenario of innovation days that are digital online? And this is where the real difficulties kicks in. You know, as a government office, we have a lot of rules and regulation that obliges us to certain restraints. Everything, and you know this, everything that is in the cloud is a big no-no. Basically, that means that all tools that are connected to either Amazon, Google, Microsoft are out of the question. I mean, don't even begin to talk about Zoom, because that's a big no-no in most government offices. And it has its reasons, even if we think, this is a restraint, but it has its reason. We have legal obligations to follow. We have to protect the data of all our customers. And we have to have control over the data within Europe. So, back then, we were quite sad. How do we do this? So that's when we had to reinvent ourselves. And that's kind of a part of innovation that we not really often talk about, because innovation is often talk about emerging tech, AI, digitalize things. But we'd had to reinvent the way we thought and worked with our coworkers. So we managed to get one video license with Skype. So we actually built a physical studio and set up 2 cameras, and thank God we had a really experienced moderator that could take us through the day, standing with 2 cameras, because you know Skype has a limitation on the amount of persons that can be in one session, and we knew that we would have 300 persons in each session. So you can imagine we had to have a lot of Skype sessions ongoing and group sessions. It was a logistical nightmare. The IT department even had to come in and help us redirect our network's path so we wouldn't overload the system. And of course, the technique failed several times. And I mean, even if we felt like we were living in a Flintstone world at some times, we actually pulled through. We compensated the physical workshop mode with instructional videos. We made pages on our intranet that we could have dialogues during these sessions. And we prepared them with tools, design-driven tools, so they could work for themselves in groups all over the country. So all in all, 2,000 people had this first experience. And the feedback we got afterwards was really, really nice. I mean, everybody knew the troubles we'd been through, and it really was a success. It was such a success that we had this director saying, okay, I would like you to try to do this on this area of operation. But the fun thing about that is that they were 6,000 people. So we were kind of scared of, we were so sure about the process, about the tools, the design-driven tools that we wanted to give. The main thing was the technique. But I mean, when you come to the IT department and legal department and you say, we have 6,000 people that we're going to educate for half a day during 2 weeks, we need some help. Of course, we got really good help. So we actually this spring, 6,000 people went through innovation days. And I don't mean that everybody of these 8,000 people now are top-notch innovators, but this is a start. We have been able to provide a design-driven tool for them to work with. We have given them the opportunity to try it on real live cases. So that's super, super interesting. And I think that if we can do that at Arbetsförmedlingen, all companies in the world are able to do this. But the challenges that we have are still current. We actually have a process now for every purchase of a digital tool that will take about 4 months. So working with innovation is kind of hard. We are reinventing ourselves the whole time. And I mean, this is not a specific for this government office. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, the Swedish Tax Agency turned down Teams after a real thorough legal analysis. So this is a bigger problem. And in the perfect world, we would get together, the government offices, the private sector, and other organizations, the academy, to help together to solve this problem. But we're not giving up. Right now, we are starting to build a relationship with our legal department, trying out some legal sandboxes, where we want to push through some digital tools, trying them out with the regulations, and see if there is some way that we can work with digital tools for innovation and actually for digitalization in a secure enough way. So, and I mean, outside government offices, people look in and say, why does the digitalization in government offices take so long? And why is it so difficult? And when you're inside, you really understand why, and it's super frustrating. But I do have a deep understanding of why it is like it is. Ongoing, actually right now we have a process on trying to purchase a robot. We know that it's going to say no because it's cloud-based with Amazon. We're going to use that as a case to see if we, throughout a legal sandbox, can push through something and make it good enough to be able to test and prototyping for innovation. Super, super exciting. So some takeaways from this is that you really, really need to have upper management with you because they can path the way for you. And you can't work with innovation or implementing innovation strategies or systems if you're not willing to take some really big risks. I'm considered quite annoying, and I think you have to learn to live with that if you're going to get stuff done, because that's really my perspective. Sometimes the most important thing is not implementing an innovation strategy. It's probably almost better just to try to get stuff going. So that's my perspective on how to implement innovation. In the perfect world, we could be able to introduce strategies and stuff, but just try to get stuff done. Reinvent yourself, because innovation is not all about technical, emerging tech and stuff like that. It's a big part of a culture change, and you have to be thick-headed and really try, because you're going to have a lot of closed doors, but you know you have to push through and open those doors for you and for other people behind you. And don't be afraid to escalate. Take that risk, because otherwise we're not going to be able to make this happen in really, really big organizations that are quite old.